A week before the wedding, I found out that Alex had already married someone else and had even held a ceremony. 8 years of love, and I turned out to be nothing more than an outsider. Standing on the balcony, Alex faced away from me, lighting a cigarette. "I couldn't say no to Alana," he murmured. "We grew up together." "What about Daisy?" I asked, my voice shaking. Alex glanced over his shoulder where I lay rigidly on the bed, his tone softening. "The wedding will still happen as planned. We can just delay filing the marriage certificate for now." He paused, exhaling smoke that seemed laden with guilt. "This is my fault. Daisy deserves better." I fiddled with the ill-fitting silver ring on my right hand. Alex always thought he controlled everything between us, but that was never true. On the wedding day, Alex showed up in perfect attire, not out of joy but out of desperation. "Daisy," he pleaded, his voice breaking. "I was wrong. Please give me another chance. We've known each other since childhood. We've been together for 8 years. I'm begging you." As my fingers brushed against the marriage certificate hidden in his pocket, I froze. Alex is married. Tears of panic dripped onto the back of my hand. I wiped them away, trembling, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it might break free from my chest. I read the certificate. Date of registration, July 18th, 2024. I flipped through it, desperately searching for any sign that it wasn't real. I prayed this was some twisted joke Alex was playing on me, but the embossed seal pressed against my fingertips was unmistakably genuine. Alex had truly married someone else. The name next to his was Alana, his first love. My shaking fingers traced the unyielding seal between their names. 1 week. We were supposed to get married in 1 week. Our families had already met, and we'd chosen the date together. Why had Alex secretly married Alana right before our wedding? I couldn't comprehend it. The sound of running water stopped abruptly. In a panic, I shoved the marriage certificate back into his coat pocket, wiping my tear-streaked face. I forced my trembling hands to be still, trying to calm my breathing. Shock, confusion, and fear churned inside me, but I locked them away as Alex walked in. "Daisy, why are you just standing there, spacing out?" he asked, emerging from the bathroom with a towel in his hand, water dripping from his hair. He smiled, that smile that used to melt me. "What's wrong? Why are you looking at me like that?" he teased, waving his hand in front of my face. "Silly girl. Go shower before the water gets cold." I blinked, suppressing the storm within me, and forced a smile. "Okay," I whispered. As the tub filled, I plunged my head underwater. The scratchy pain in my throat turned into a burning sensation, forcing me to surface, coughing and gasping. The near drowning proved this wasn't a nightmare. It was real. Alex had really married Alana. I grabbed my phone, my fingers shaking as they hovered over Alana's latest Instagram post from that morning. 2 hands intertwined, framed by a bright red heart, with a marriage certificate holder on the table before them. The other person's face was hidden, but I didn't need to guess who it was. Desperately, I scrolled further through her posts. Elena had returned to the country 2 months ago, the same time Alex's sudden business trip started. When I finished my shower and came out, Alex was gone. His coat and the marriage certificate had disappeared. It looked like he had left in a hurry. A shattered glass lay on the table, a streak of blood trailing from it. Barefoot, I tiptoed to the window and peered down. 2 figures stood by the building, tightly embracing. My fingers gripped the windowsill as I watched, feeling like a ghost trapped in eternal torment. Rage and despair burned through me. The woman pulled at the man's hand, urging him into the car. He resisted briefly, then gave in and followed her. The car lights flickered on and off, casting shadows on the pavement. Inside, their figures entwined, draining the last bit of strength from my body. I collapsed onto the bed, unable to stop the gasping sobs. Memories of Alex and me played on repeat, blurring into a chaotic mess, until the front door's sound brought me back. Alex tiptoed in, closing the door softly, and crept into bed beside me. He pulled the covers up, his familiar warmth creeping closer, his breath brushing my skin. The nightly ritual, a gentle goodnight kiss, now terrified me. As Alex leaned in, I flinched and pulled away. Don't touch me, you're disgusting. Pretending to have a nightmare, I rolled over, facing away, and controlling my breathing to mimic sleep. Alex paused, sighed, then lay down with his back to mine. The pounding of his heart echoed louder than my own. Neither of us slept. Before long, Alex slipped out of bed and onto the balcony. The click of his lighter pierced the quiet night. Eyes wide open, I listened. In the stillness, every whisper carried like a shout. Alex stood on the balcony, smoking, his phone to his ear. The lighter clicked again before Ben's impatient voice snapped through the silence. "Alex, are you going to say something, or just waste my time?" Finally, Alex spoke, his voice eerily calm, almost detached. "Ben, have you ever cheated?" There was a sputter on the other end, followed by a shocked exclamation. "Alex, don't tell me you cheated." The silence on the call was oppressive before it exploded into fury and disbelief. "Are you out of your mind? You're about to get married and you cheat? What the hell is wrong with you?" Alex's expression remained blank, letting Ben's frustration pour over him. "I'm serious," Alex said calmly. "Eliana and I are already married. We registered the marriage." The scrape of a chair against the floor echoed through the phone, followed by a string of curses. "With Eliana? Are you joking?" Ben's voice cracked as he tried to process the news. "She wasn't doing well overseas," Alex explained, his tone detached. "Her parents pressured her to marry someone else. She cried constantly. You know how it is." "You know how it is?" Ben shouted, his voice incredulous. "What does that even mean?" "I couldn't say no to her," Alex said. "We've known each other forever. We've been through so much." He took a drag from his cigarette, exhaling smoke as if it might lift the guilt from his words. "I love her." The words cut through me like a knife, my heart sinking into a void, leaving only a hollow pain. "You love Eliana?" I whispered. "What about me? Did you ever love me, or was it all a lie?" Ben's tone softened slightly. "And Daisy, does she know? What do you expect her to do now?" Alex coughed, sounding irritated. "Daisy? How should I know what she'll do? She won't really leave me. She's not that heartless." The sharp intake of breath on the other end of the line was nearly as loud as my own heartbeat. "Alex," Ben said, exasperated, "I'm telling you as a friend, you've crossed the line this time. What happens when the wedding is over, and Daisy asks to file the marriage certificate? What will you say then?" Alex's eyes shifted toward the bed where I lay, pretending to sleep. His voice dropped to a guilty whisper. "The wedding will go on. As for the certificate, we'll delay it as long as we can. That's the least I can do for Daisy. I still care about her." His words dissolved into the night air. I turned over, pulling the blanket over my head. My fingers played with the silver ring on my right hand, one that never quite fit. Alex always believed he had control over us, but he was wrong. Alex and I grew up together, but we were never childhood sweethearts. More like distant acquaintances. From the beginning, Eliana was the one he adored. She was the picture of beauty, long twin braids, white dresses, spotless sneakers. She looked angelic, the kind of girl every boy secretly liked. And me? I was the awkward girl with crooked teeth, the one nobody wanted to play with, except Eliana. She was my only friend, the one who accepted me despite my flaws. The first time I met Alex, I was crouched in a sandbox building a castle. A group of kids knocked me over, ruining my work and my pride. "Daisy, were you a donkey in a past life? Why do your teeth stick out like that?" They jeered. "Yeah, you look like an ugly donkey." They circled me, braying like donkeys until tears streamed down my face. That's when Alex appeared. He chased them away, his fists flying, then helped me up and brushed the sand off my skirt. "Don't cry," he said, handing me a piece of candy. The wrapper was sticky, and the candy half melted, but I kept it forever. Alex played with me the whole afternoon, but when he walked me home, he gave me a pink envelope with a shy smile, his ears turning red. "Daisy, can you give this to Eliana for me?" A breeze cooled my flushed cheeks, and realization struck. I was never the one he wanted. I silently watched Alex and Eliana's love story unfold, going from lovers to exes. When her parents divorced and her mother took her abroad, I guarded her luggage at the airport while she and Alex cried in each other's arms. "Don't forget me," she begged. "I won't," Alex promised. What I didn't tell him was that, just days before, Eliana had confided she was bored with him. After she left, Alex spiraled into depression, barely eating or sleeping. I stayed by his side, desperate to help him heal. One rainy day, I took him hiking and we accidentally fell into a pit. As the rainwater rose around us, I urged, "Climb on my shoulders and get out." He hesitated. "What about you?" I shook my head, smiling despite my fear. "Daisy, do you like me?" he asked. My heart pounded, but I stayed silent. Alex eventually found help, and we were rescued before the water reached my neck. We never mentioned that day again. Eventually, Alex moved on from Eliana. In our sophomore year of college, he confessed, "Daisy, you're the one who's always been there for me. You understand me best." When he handed me a bouquet of roses, despite my allergy, I felt like the luckiest person alive. For 8 years I believed I was the one he chose. But now it's clear that love was a cruel joke. 8 years wasted. I turned my head to see Alex sleeping peacefully beside me. Whoever suffers the most is the one who changes the most. If I was never cherished, then I would cherish myself. The next morning we both woke up with dark circles under our eyes. As I sat at the mirror, dabbing foundation onto my skin, Alex leaned in playfully. "Wifey, put some on me too." In the past, this had been a light-hearted ritual, a moment where I'd pretend to do his makeup. Maybe a little powder, maybe some brow work, I used to think. But today my powder puff refused to touch his skin. I pushed him away gently. "This foundation is pricey. Don't waste it." Alex hesitated, confusion clouding his face. "What's wrong? Did I do something to upset you?" I stayed silent. "Is it because I didn't tell you about last night? I had an emergency and forgot to mention it. Please don't be angry, okay?" How could he lie about something so huge and still call me wifey, as if everything was normal? His eyes suddenly landed on my left hand and his tone turned sharp. "Where's the ring? Why aren't you wearing it?" I remembered the ring that never fit right. "Oh, it nearly slipped off when I was washing my face, so I left it by the sink." "Go check if it's still there," Alex insisted, his voice rising with urgency. He rushed to the bathroom, searching for the ring that had already gone down the drain. After more than 10 minutes, he returned empty-handed. "It's gone, wife." I lifted my eyes cautiously, applying a cat eye with my eyeliner. "Well, it probably did wash away. It wasn't expensive. We can just get a new one." Alex stood in the bathroom doorway, his eyes blazing with anger. "Daisy, what do you mean by that? You're acting like the ring meant nothing. Do you realize how much effort I put into getting that ring?" His temper flared, and the door slammed behind him. He was furious, feeling his efforts had been insulted. But did he ever consider how I felt when he married Eliana? Did he ever think about my pain and tears? Could I simply let him go? That ring was a gift Alex bought with his first paycheck during his senior year internship. Back then he was so earnest and enthusiastic, running up to me with a small box in his hand. "Daisy, guess what I got for you?" Before I could answer, he pulled out the ring and slid it onto my finger, gently holding my face and kissing me deeply. "Daisy, when I have more money, I'll buy you a better one." In that moment, I truly believed Alex loved me. That's why I overlooked how poorly the ring fit. I never doubted his sincerity. But sincerity fades, and when it does, the ring no longer matters. The phone screen lit up as I changed clothes. It was Eliana. "Daisy, I'm waiting for you at the cafe in the mall." She knew about me marrying Alex. She had blocked me on Instagram for the last 8 years. Her message was deliberate, both naive and arrogant. When I saw her, she hadn't changed. She wore white, her canvas bag giving off a gentle, calm vibe. She didn't recognize me at first, her confused eyes glancing past me. My crooked teeth, freckles, and awkwardness were gone, and my appearance was now neutral, not too dark, not too heavy. When I sat across from her, her eyes widened in shock. "Daisy, you look so different. Did you get surgery? That must have cost a lot, huh?" A tense atmosphere settled between us. I noticed a flicker of jealousy in her eyes. "I've read some lousy books that say when your heart expands, so does your face," I said lightly. "But you haven't changed much. How's life abroad? Living the dream, I suppose?" Her expression faltered, but she quickly recovered. "It's fine." Fine from an adult usually means things aren't fine. She clutched her coffee cup, and I couldn't ignore the large diamond ring on her finger, the same one Alex had once shown me. "Daisy, what do you think of this for a wedding band?" I had dismissed it then, calling it too flashy and expensive. The truth was, I didn't want Alex to waste his money. I cared about him too much. I pretended not to see the ring and sipped my coffee. Unable to resist, Eliana pushed her hand toward me. "I'm married now. This is the ring he bought me. Isn't it beautiful?" A sharp pain pierced my chest, spreading a dull ache. So this is how it felt to see another woman flaunt Alex's love. My voice was distant. "It's beautiful." As if she had been waiting for that response, Eliana began gushing about her relationship with Alex. Each word cut deeper, like a knife carving into my heart. "Honestly, I told him not to buy such an expensive ring. It's too flashy. But he insisted on giving me the best. You know how men are, they love to waste money." She listed everything she wore, her dress, her hairpin, all gifts from Alex. "Aren't you curious who my husband is?" she asked, stirring her coffee and watching me for any sign of emotion. "Actually, you know him. We grew up together." I already saw Alex approaching before she finished. He carried several bags, his steps slowing as he saw me. Panic filled his face like a child caught in a lie. He froze, as if he wanted to escape. I raised my hand. "Alex, I'm over here." Eliana glanced at me in surprise, then rushed to Alex, throwing herself into his arms. But he pushed her away without hesitation, and she stumbled to the ground. "Alex, why did you push me? That hurt!" she cried, frustration in her voice. Alex stood still, gripping the shopping bag so tightly his knuckles turned white. His face was filled with dread, as though he were facing his own demise. It was the first time I'd seen him so terrified. Eliana tugged Alex to the bench across from me, resting her head on his shoulder and giving me a smug grin. "Daisy, this is my husband, Alex," she said, her voice dripping with arrogance. "I'm sure you know him quite well, don't you?" Of course I did. Alex had been part of my life for as long as I could remember, taking up a space in my heart I could never erase. My hand shook slightly as I lifted my coffee cup. Seeing Alex with another woman was something I still couldn't handle. I couldn't act like everything was normal, as if nothing had changed. "I need to go!" I blurted, feeling my composure cracking. As soon as I stood, tears spilled uncontrollably, blurring my vision. Daisy, don't go!" Alex's voice called out as he ran after me to the elevator. "Please, let me explain," he pleaded, grabbing my hand. I spun around and slapped him hard. "What exactly do you want to explain?" I snapped, my voice raw with emotion. "Explain why you're with Eliana? Why you married her? Why you've been sleeping with her? Can you even justify that?" My eyes filled with tears. "You're unbelievable, Alex." "Wait, you know everything?" Alex muttered, his gaze dropping to the floor. "Yes," I answered, my voice steady but wounded. "I know you married her a while ago, and by the way, congratulations on your wedding." My words struck a nerve. His eyes lifted to mine, filled with desperation. "Daisy, don't say that," he begged, his voice trembling. He hesitated, then with sudden determination said, "Just give me some time. I'll divorce Eliana. I'll make things right between us. It won't affect our wedding, I swear it." I couldn't hold back a bitter laugh. "You actually expect me to believe that?" Eliana, who had hurried over, heard his promise to divorce her and screamed in disbelief. "Alex, are you seriously going to abandon me too?" Alex hesitated, his eyes flickering with uncertainty. I shoved his hand off. "Let go, Alex. You've never chosen me. Stop torturing yourself. Just let me go. It's better for both of us." His grip loosened. but as I stepped toward the elevator, he grabbed me again. "Daisy, please! Can't you give me one last chance?" His voice was desperate, his grip tightening on my wrist. "A marriage certificate doesn't matter. It doesn't stop me from loving you." His grip grew tighter, and for a moment I almost pitied him. But I refused to be swayed. I laughed bitterly, shaking my head. "Alex, that's not how you apologize. You need to bow your head, be sincere, and actually show you're sorry, not break my wrist." Finally, he let go. As I descended the escalator, I saw my reflection in the steel panels. At the top, Alex stood still, kicking the escalator and punching it in frustration, his movements full of pent-up anger. Stepping outside the mall, the wind dried my tears. The weight in my chest, the burden I'd carried for so long, felt lighter, swept away by the approaching storm. Letting go took only a fleeting moment. The realization that releasing the past could be that simple. For 3 days, as the typhoon raged, the wind howled and rain pounded against the windows. I buried myself under the blankets, sniffling while my mom fumed, pacing back and forth. "What kind of man cheats before the wedding and then has the audacity to marry her?" she shouted. "Does Alex think the Astor family can be pushed around? I'm going over there to give him a piece of my mind." My dad slammed his hand on the newspaper, his face red with fury. "There's no need to talk. Just drag that boy out and give him a good beating. After all these years, he cheats and marries someone else. Do you know how much this has hurt our daughter?" I sniffled and said, "Mom, there's a typhoon outside. Let's just relax and read the newspaper. Don't worry about me. I'm strong. I'm not going to fall apart over this." My mom leaned closer, her eyes full of concern. "Are you sure? Don't bottle up your feelings. If you need to cry, just let it out." "I'm really fine," I assured her, gently pushing them out of the room. Before closing the door, I peeked out and said, "Mom, can you set me up on a blind date?" On the 4th day, after the storm had passed, I drove my small pickup to collect my belongings. There was a lot to pack, and it wasn't cheap. My 2 cousins and 3 more relatives came along to help. I suggested they didn't need to be so rough, but my eldest cousin just climbed into the passenger seat without a word. When I opened the door, a wave of alcohol hit me, making me recoil. Alex stumbled out, a liquor bottle clutched in one hand, his other hand tugging at his boxers. The moment he saw me, his eyes lit up and he rushed toward me. "Daisy, you're finally back. The hotel manager called yesterday. Everything is ready for the wedding. The decorations, the menu, and the guest list have all been sent for your approval. The bridal shop also contacted me. They're ready for a final fitting in case any changes are needed. Do you want to go check it out?" Alex looked at me with anticipation, as if everything that happened had vanished from his memory. He must have been so drunk that he was now convincing himself everything was fine. "Alex, I'm here to pack my things," I replied, pulling out 2 contracts and smacking them onto his face, one for the company shares and the other for the house. When we started, Alex had refused any support from his family, determined to succeed on his own. I had invested in his venture, and the house had been purchased with a loan we both were responsible for repaying equally. The cost of renovations also needed to be assessed and split fairly. Alex gripped the contracts tightly, frustration flashing in his bloodshot eyes. "Do we really have to divide everything like this?" "Absolutely." Thankfully, my cousins were there. 3 helping with the luggage and 2 standing beside me. Alex lingered in the corner, still clutching the contracts. I studied him carefully. He was a mess, his anxiety barely hidden. Though he was 2 years older than me, he looked like a boy who needed to be cared for. His nose was flat, and his glasses kept slipping down. At nearly 30, his face was still marked by acne scars. He wasn't tall, and whenever I wore heels, the bald patch on his head was obvious. The features I once thought were perfect now seemed flawed, stripped of the filter of love. "Alex, without my love, you're just ordinary. Without it, you're nothing." His mouth twitched as he looked up at me. After signing the contracts, he handed them over and disappeared into the room. He returned with 2 crumpled, smoke-scented sheets of paper with the words "Apology Letter" printed at the top. Without any emotion, I folded the letter and shoved it back into his hand. "Aren't you even going to read it? Is that how cold-hearted you are? No room for compromise?" Alex asked, his voice a mix of confusion and defiance. "Daisy, what do I need to do to make things right? Should I divorce Eliana completely and cut all ties with her so you'll take me back?" His voice rose, his emotions spiraling out of control. "Daisy, say something. Why won't you answer me?" He took a step closer, but my eldest cousin gently pushed him back, causing him to stumble and fall. "What do you want me to say, Alex? That I forgive you? I've realized how unlucky I was to waste 8 years on you. I see you clearly now. You expect me to return to that nightmare? I'm not stupid. You spent 8 years with me, then ran off and married Eliana, the first love you thought you'd lost. Now you want to leave her and pick me instead? How am I any different from her? We're just things you've lost and want back. I'm not as foolish as she is. The problem wasn't Eliana, it was you. A heartless person doesn't deserve genuine love. I wish you the best, Alex." I grabbed the handle of my last suitcase and turned toward the elevator. Just before the doors closed, Alex grabbed the edges. "Daisy, can't people make mistakes? Can you guarantee the next man won't cheat on you? Are you sure he'll love you forever and never leave?" As the doors slid shut, I saw tears roll down his face. My eldest cousin quickly covered my eyes. "Don't look, little sis." In the 3 months that followed, I buried myself in a pile of paperwork, often losing track of time. Alex had signed the contract so quickly that he didn't realize it transferred all the equity to me. The office we once shared was cleared out, his desk replaced by someone new. Bit by bit, everything faded away. I hadn't seen Alex since then, but Eliana showed up asking to borrow money. "Alex is divorcing me and I can't afford the legal fees," she confessed, her belly noticeably growing. "We were friends once, Daisy. Please lend me some money. I'll let you have Alex back. I won't fight you for him anymore." I glanced at the large diamond ring on her finger. "Selling that ring would get you the money faster than asking me." Her face went pale and she hesitated before pulling off the ring and throwing it into the trash. "It's fake," she whispered. "Alex never gave me a real one. He doesn't love me. He loves you." Tears streamed down her cheeks. "He never cared about me, not even at the start." I stopped her mid-sentence and handed her $10,000. "Use it for your case or go back home to your mom. Just don't bother me again." "Why are you helping me?" she asked, biting her lip. "I don't want your child growing up in a broken home, and I don't want to hear anything about Alex anymore. This is my payment for peace." After organizing the files on my desk and turning off the lights, I went downstairs. Not far away, leaning against a car, was Ethan. He waved at me, holding my favorite food. Ethan was the man my parents set me up with. He had a good personality, good looks, and a family background that matched mine. My parents, fearful of me getting hurt again, had thoroughly investigated his family before introducing us. After 2 months of knowing him, I felt no romantic spark, just a quiet sense of compatibility. Perhaps that was enough. I jogged over and nestled into his neck, teasingly pouting. "Don't spoil me like this. You'll make me too fat," he grinned. "If you don't put on a little weight, how will you fit into your wedding dress?" he teased me. Someone's probably standing in front of the mirror complaining, "Oh, I have no meat on me." Ethan imitated my voice with a laugh. I smiled, playfully pinching his waist, knowing full well that my complaint wasn't about my stomach. The wedding was scheduled for 2 months later, a date agreed upon by both families. Neither Ethan nor I had any objections. I even sold the wedding dress I originally bought. Strangely enough, someone paid 8 times its original price. My new dress was custom-made by a renowned designer. When Ethan and I walked in hand, the craftsman adjusted his glasses and nodded approvingly. "You two seem like a much better match now." As we got into the car, I noticed a vehicle parked nearby with someone inside. I hadn't seen Alex in 3 months, and there he was, hunched over the steering wheel, his hand trembling slightly. It hit me then. He was still wearing the ring I had given him. Not long after, the front desk handed me an unmarked envelope. Inside was the court's confirmation of Alex's finalized divorce, along with a thick bundle of letters. Without hesitation, I tossed the entire envelope into the trash. What was the point of reading it? The whole situation was repulsive. On the wedding day, as I stood in my pristine white dress, my bridesmaids adjusting my skirt, the back door suddenly burst open. There stood Alex, wearing the groom's suit we had once chosen together. "Daisy, don't marry him," he pleaded. I instinctively frowned. Was Alex seriously trying to ruin my day? "I'm marrying Ethan. If you cause any trouble, I won't hesitate to have you locked up for a few days." Alex stepped closer, grabbing my wrist. "Daisy, I messed up. Please give me another chance. We've been together for 8 years. I can't let you go. I'll change. I've already divorced Eliana. I promise to treat you right. You're the only one I want. I can't live without you." In stark contrast to his desperation, I remained composed and detached, as though observing from afar. "Is there anything else you want to say, Alex? Make it your final words." Ethan rushed over, stepping between us and delivering a hard punch to Alex's face. "Stop obsessing over my wife, Alex! Be a man for once!" Blood streaked Alex's lips. I grabbed Ethan's hand, shaking my head. "Don't waste your energy. He's not worth it." Ethan squeezed my hand gently. "Don't worry, I'm here." I smiled softly, pressing a kiss to his chin. Alex seemed to snap out of his daze, staring at me in disbelief. "Daisy, you saw him hit me?" "Yes, I saw, and so what?" I replied calmly. Ethan shielded me, guiding me away as Alex erupted, smashing mirrors and breaking chair legs. The room fell silent as we all watched him unravel. Ethan whispered, "Now I understand why you left him." Alex spun around, his eyes filled with rage. "Why?" Ethan motioned to the chaos around us. "Don't worry, from now on I'll take care of Daisy." Hand in hand, Ethan and I walked away, leaving Alex frozen in place, staring after us. The ceremony continued without a hitch. When it was time to exchange rings, I caught sight of Alex in the corner, trying to hide his disheveled appearance. He looked like a shadow of the person he used to be. During the final round of toasts, Alex sat awkwardly among his friends, exchanging forced smiles and sips of wine. He suddenly stood, shoulders slumping, as if the weight of everything was too much to bear. "Daisy, after all these years, when did you stop loving me?" Ethan wrapped his arm around my waist protectively. I paused to think. Maybe I had always known I wasn't his first choice. Once my expectations faded, disappointment no longer had power over me. Though the realization hurt, I kept my silence and simply walked away with Ethan. Alex's epilogue. On Daisy's wedding day, I was determined to stop the ceremony. I thought I could storm in and create chaos. But when I saw her, smiling so brightly beside Ethan, posing for photos, a chilling thought crossed my mind. She's forgotten me. I wandered through the venue, searching for her, until I overheard voices behind a door. "Daisy, this simple dress fits you perfectly. It's so much better than the fancy one before. Did you secretly take any supplements or something?" "Well, if the groom counts as a supplement, no wonder she looks amazing." They laughed, and Daisy joined in. I closed my eyes, trying to remember the sound of her laughter, but it felt like a distant memory. Someone mentioned my name, and the room went silent. "Alex doesn't matter anymore." "If you hadn't mentioned him, I might have forgotten he existed," Daisy said casually. Her words pierced my heart like a knife. My chest tightened and I struggled to breathe, loosening my tie to get some air. I pushed open the door, afraid of seeing hatred on her face, but she just frowned, clearly annoyed that I might ruin her day. I realized how foolish I was. I'd expected her to try to comfort me, but this time she didn't. I realized I had become a complete joke. All I wished for was for Daisy to yell at me or show even a hint of emotion, anything less cold than her indifference. But she gave me nothing. Suddenly I recalled what Eliana had said to me during the court proceedings. "Alex, do you really think you're some sort of Prince Charming adored by everyone with flowers blooming in your path? Do you believe people will endlessly forgive your mistakes? Keep dreaming. Even if I divorce you, do you honestly think Daisy will ever take you back? She figured you out a long time ago. You're worthless to her, a mere tool. You don't deserve to be loved. You don't deserve Daisy's love. As I watched Daisy on the stage, her smile so radiant and full of joy, the crushing weight in my chest eased, at least partially. I couldn't pinpoint when Daisy had let go of me, but I asked myself why I was so terrified of letting her go. She didn't respond. She didn't even care to give me a final word. 6 years later, Daisy's daughter was now 4. I quietly visited the kindergarten to catch a glimpse of the little girl. She was adorable, a mirror image of Daisy as a child. Her plump cheeks were filled with snacks, who knows how many. I remembered when Daisy was young, how she'd stash lollipops in her mouth, one on each side, like a little hamster. Seeing the little girl run into Daisy's arms and call out, "Mommy," so sweetly, made me wonder what life might have been if I hadn't messed up. I could have had a daughter that age with Daisy. The thought made me chuckle bitterly.
Alex, stop living in fantasy.